When you think of misunderstood characters, who do you think of? Probably Eren, Kaneki, Light, Gon, Shinji, and many, many more. When I think of misunderstood characters in One Piece, I think of Monkey D. Garp. Now I know what a lot of you are going to say, and all of the criticisms you have for Garp about being a bad father, grandfather, and for what happened in Marineford. But just stick around and give me 10 minutes of your time, so I can explain why Monkey D. Garp is the most misunderstood character in One Piece. Garp is a complex character, and an even more complex man. All he wants is to help people and be a cause for good and justice in the world. However, in the world of One Piece where the lines are blurred, it makes this much, much harder to do. Because of the grey the world of One Piece operates in, it makes Garp and his actions very divisive, especially amongst fans who want clear black and white, heroes and villains, good and bad. You ask why I say he's misunderstood? Because most people just chop him up to being that bum of a grandfather that should have saved Ace because he's his family, has the strength to fight the world government but doesn't, and say he's selfish or a coward and blah blah blah. And if you really believe any of that, you really do misunderstand Monkey D. Garp. Now, don't get me wrong, I wish Garp saved Ace as well. Garp is by no means a perfect man. As I said before, he is complex, and that's what makes him so interesting. I know it's hard to think logically and not with emotion in this situation, but what was Garp supposed to do? Save a pirate and betray the values he's preached and practiced his whole life? Or let a pirate die because they are outlaws and it's the Marines' job to stop them? It just so happens that the pirate in question happens to be a part of his family.
わしゃどうすりゃええんじゃいエース貴様なぜわしの言う通りに生きなんだ
He was put between a grandson and his beliefs in the world. He did his most to help without helping. He could have stopped Luffy from trying to save Ace, but he didn't. He could have nuked half of Whitebeard's army, but he didn't. He was hoping Whitebeard would succeed and save Ace, but he didn't. The man spent his entire life being the hero of the Marines, Garp the Fist, the man who was cornered and battled with the Pirate King himself. And his grandson was a pirate who got captured and sent to be executed. What is he supposed to do? Turn his back on the things he believes in to save his family? He tried hard to get Ace to join the Marines, but that didn't happen. Ace made his own choice. Ace chose to become a pirate. Ace chose to become an enemy of the Marines, and as Garp said in his own words, he has no sympathy for criminals. But family? Family's different. The man didn't know what to do, what side to choose. He was lost. Garp is such a fascinating character study for us, as he is used as a medium to see the greys of the One Piece world, and shows us how hard it is to act when something isn't black and white. A fictional character who's put in real and human situations that are filled with nuance and many, many layers. It's complex, and there isn't always a right answer. The Ace situation is a perfect example of that. This forced him into such a complex and multifaceted situation that explores the problems of loving the person even though they represent the yin to your yang. When principles are forced to clash and the people are caught in the middle, it causes a situation where a grandfather has to sit there and hope the organisation he belongs to fails so that his grandson can live. It's so much more complex than just Garp should have saved Ace. It's a battle of principles. His life's mission versus someone he loves that actively chose to take the opposing route he did in life. I mean, look at his reaction. There is a reason Sengoku needed to hold him down. Otherwise, Oda would have needed to set up a new fleet admiral as one of the final villains in One Piece.
わしゃなんとでもなるわいお前たちが無事なことが最重要事項じゃそうじゃろ
Garp didn't want Ace to die. He was a grandson to him, but he couldn't save him. I mean, he could have, physically, but he couldn't. His whole life has been dedicated to this cause, stopping pirates and trying to help people. This is his life's purpose and what he believes to be right. And when it comes to things such as beliefs, values, purpose for getting up in the morning, things you live by, Garp couldn't betray those, even for his family. He will try his best to leave them out of it, but he can't intentionally stop the Marines from stopping pirates. That would go against who he is as a human being. Even if you hate Garp for letting Ace die, can't you at least see that? Did you ever wonder why he tried so hard to make them become Marines when they were kids? It's not just because he wanted the monkey family to be generational Marines. Actually, maybe it was, that would have been tough. It's so they wouldn't become pirates or criminals, and so a situation where him and another family member would be on opposite sides for war. He didn't want that to happen again, where Garp is forced to choose between the system he believes in or a family member he loves. That goes against that system of belief, that religion. Again, seriously, what do you expect him to do in that situation? It's so much more complex than just choose your family. Would you say the same for Mikasa and everyone in AOT? Should they have let Eren destroy the world? Should Garp sacrifice everything he believes in no matter what, because it's his family and someone he loves? And because they made a choice? In a story about a man becoming the king of pirates, his grandfather is the hero of the Marines? The contradiction of Garp's character compared to Luffy is to ask these morally complex questions. What is right and wrong? What is good and evil? Is being a Marine always inherently good and pirates bad? The Marines in Akainu would say yes, but through Garp these emotionally volatile questions are asked of us, and usually we see it's the person, not the group they are associated with, that decides their character. Some Marines let their sense of power corrupt them, and some are like Kobe and Garp who believe in what the Marines were built upon. You have pirates like Blackbeard who want pure, uncorrupted power for himself. And then on the other side of that same coin is Luffy. Someone who is a pirate, so is supposed to be bad, but is usually the hero to most of the people he's come across. Because of the realistic world of One Piece, we see people take justice into their own hands, as they feel they are shackled by things such as the world government. A perfect example of this is with Garp's very own student, Aokiji, or Kuzan. Clearly a man also striving for his own form of justice, like Garp, however he decided to take it into his own hands, potentially causing more bad than good by teaming up with Blackbeard. Garp is a man who's tried to do his best and bring about peace while in the chains of the world government, as he feels those shackles are better than justice untethered. He believes rules and regulations are needed to keep people in check who have such devastating powers and abilities. Despite going as far as to refuse promotions to try and avoid the poison slowly infecting the Marines, to stay as free as he can while still being a part of the system he believes in. However, by putting faith in the greater good of the Marines as a force for justice in the world, he is limited by what he can and can't do. Despite having the power to save Ace, the circumstances of his own convictions and the laws that he abides by, he was put in an impossible situation. As we mentioned before, the world of One Piece and storytelling on a greater scale likes to deal with black and white, but Garp lives in the grey. This was shown by Garp even taking Ace from Roger in the first place. He knows just because he's the son of a pirate, that doesn't make him evil, or means that he deserves to die. If that was Akainu, however, who does see the world as white and black justice, he probably would have killed baby Ace on the spot. Can you not see through your hatred how nuanced and complex Garp and the situations he's been put in are? He is so misunderstood if you think these are easy choices to live with, or even make in the first place. I mean, do you think he's happy with himself that Ace is dead? I mean, just look at this scene. This is a prime example of self-loathing. He's letting Dadan punch him and beat him up because he also believes that he deserves it. That he's failed. Now, yes, he could have been a better grandfather. No one's denying that. Throwing Luffy and Ace to the bandits in the mountains probably isn't winning him Grandfather of the Year. But that was also for their own protection, especially Ace. Now if you want to say I'm giving him too much credit and that's a cop-out, that's fine. In return, I'll say you've misunderstood him if you don't think he would consider that, especially after the lengths the world government went to so they could kill Roger's son. He probably could have been a better father, considering his son not only isn't a Marine like him, but is the biggest opposition in the world to the establishment that he believes in. However, trying to say that he's a bum father and a loser for not saving Ace, he is way more complex than that. Every action he makes is in service of the greater good or his own sense of justice. And he could have even been a good father, and Dragon just hates the corruption of the Celestial Dragons. We don't know yet.
海兵にさせようとしているのは道を踏み外してほしくないからじゃ。それがわしの願いなんじゃ。
The other major criticism I see of Garp is that he hasn't done enough to change the world government or join his son's revolution to take down the Celestial Dragons. And my response to claims like this would be, what? Would you say the same for Suzaku from Code Geass? Do you believe he should have joined Lelouch and abandoned what he believed in? You probably do, to be fair. Or even better yet, would you blame Kobe and bastardize him for joining the Marines instead of Luffy because the people at the very, very top are evil, despite Kobe's intentions being pure? Yes, Garp does have the power to potentially fight the Celestial Dragons and the Gorosei. Yes, he could have joined his son's revolution and tried to destroy the government. And if you think he should have done that, again, you are misunderstanding the character that is Monkey D. Garp. It's not that he doesn't think they are bad or corrupt, he does. That's why he refuses to get promoted. But a reoccurring theme in this video is that he believes in what the Marines represent, the people like Kobe and Garp, and previously Aokiji, but we don't talk about that anymore. They believed in changing it from the inside, not by starting a war and losing thousands of lives in the process, but by teaching the new generation what it means to be a Marine, and cure the poison from the ground up. Or he could have taken justice into his own hands for his own needs, like Lelouch, like Aokiji, like Eren. Who knows what massacre he could have caused, and if it would have really been better than trying to teach a new generation of people what it means to be just and to help. And let's be real for a second. You really think Garp didn't push for Sengoku to get in a position of power, to stop the Gorosei from having a puppet that would do whatever they said without a second thought? Garp has done many things to help push the Marines in the right direction, but that's not really ever seen. All that's seen by the fans is the man who let his grandson die at Marineford. Again, our POV follows Luffy, a pirate, so inherently both the Marines and Garp should be the bad guys, as they're the opposites to us in the story. But like the old quote goes, a war can only happen if both sides think they are the good guys. For Garp and the Marines, pirates like Luffy, Shanks and Roger on a greater scale are in the minority. And there are so many pirate groups we don't even hear about that terrorize small villages or harm innocent people. We just only happen to hear about the same 10 to 20 pirate groups who are on the same level as Luffy. Garp believes that despite the bad parts of the world government and the corruption, the Marines and the work they do is a net positive for the world. Because of the people like Garp and Kobe, that have no ties to the Celestial Dragons and want nothing more than to help people. They believe taking the law into your own hands to quote-unquote help people just because you have power isn't just. Laws and regulations are needed to keep people grounded and stop them from abusing the powers they have. They believe this to be more just and would prefer working in these confines the correct, proper way, even if it's harder and comes with more restrictions. Because it's right. It just so happens that for Garp, his family members unfortunately are all either pirates or criminals. A good example of the comparison I'm getting at is Harvey Dent in Batman in the Dark Knight films. Batman wanted someone that people could get behind in law enforcement, because even he knows that's the way forward.
You're the symbol of hope I could never be. Your stand against organized crime is the first legitimate ray of light in Gotham in decades.
Not vigilantes without safeguards, a bunch of copycats causing chaos in the streets. Another comparison for you Marvel fans might be Tony Stark in Civil War. A man with his own sense of justice, but believes there needs to be rules and regulations to keep powerful people like himself in check.
We need to be put in check. Whatever form that takes, I'm game. If we can't accept limitations, we're boundaryless, we're no better than the bad guys.
Tony.
If they're going to make change, they're going to do it the right and proper way. Unbridled power like that with nothing to keep it in check can go nuclear and create people like Light Yagami. People assume they know Garp and his intentions. He's a man who let his grandson die but risked his life for Kobe. A man powerful enough to take down the world government but doesn't have the courage to do it. But that's not who Garp is. Garp is a man who's tried to stop his family becoming pirates, tried to protect them at every turn, and warned them what could happen. A man who has tried to change the system from the inside and prioritise the future generations and the future of the Marines. And to Garp, Kobe and his students are the future. Rather than using his power wildly, forsaking anyone innocent who might be around. A man who believes in the system and what it stands for, not what the people at the top may have created it for. He is the Suzaku, the Tony Stark, the Monkey D. Garp of the One Piece world. And I believe he's misunderstood. Thank you guys so much for watching that video. I really hope you enjoyed. Please leave a like, subscribe, turn the notification bell on, leave a comment of your thoughts. I'm truly interested to know if people agree, disagree, or maybe if I happen to convince any of you that Garp's maybe a little deeper than you might have first thought he was.
前進せよ。お前たちが海軍の未来じゃ。
So again, thank you so much for watching this video, and if you want to watch another One Piece video, you can click right here. I'm waiting. No, seriously, come on, man. You gotta click it.